Welcome, everyone, to the MyMac podcast 828, where we give thanks on this auspicious something or other for an M1, because that's what we do. And as part of our way of giving back to the community, we are working so hard to bring you the latest and greatest in Mac news and information. Well, some kind of news and information. And it's mostly true that we know of. So sit back, relax, and let the GMen take you on a journey of discovery and wonder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm excited.
Well, you know, I wrote that, and after I read it back, I was kind of like, really? Really? Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah. Well, sorry. You had that conversation with yourself, of course.
Of course I did. like almost all of my conversations outside of this podcast, it's all in my head.
Okay. So, Guy.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell me why we're going on a journey of discovery? What's happened to you this week?
Well, something wonderful. And I know I'm sounding like Dave from 2001. But my new Mac Mini, the M1 Mac Mini, is here, and everything is working, Gaz.
What?
Well,
hang on a minute. Yeah. Hang on. Whoa. When you say everything is working, I've got to remember who I'm talking to here and audio. So I must admit, there were a few little tweaks, only tweaks that you had to do at the start. They weren't issues, they were tweaks, and we are recording, so that's sounding good.
We are.
So
I'm looking at it.
What isn't working then? Why are you saying mostly clean?
Well, it's a close enough subset of everything. So I am recording, as you said. I am recording on this Mac Mini, and I am also. I mean, I don't have it in the show notes, but I am sort of recording video. Okay. Through the Skype app, which, and frankly, the video that you get from Microsoft Skype app completely sucks. It blows chunks. It's just not good. However, a particular bit of software that I use to record video isn't working, and we will talk about that in the next section. Okay. But pretty much, you know, I mean, I got this thing. And my expectations were based on what I've experienced in the past when moving to a new platform in the Mac OS.
Yeah, which can be painful.
Yeah, and hazardous to your health because you pull out your hair.
Mm-hmm. Which you've done.
Yeah. I mean, I had hair prior to 2005. This was a full head of hair.
Yeah. And then they went to Intel.
And it was like, no. So, yeah, it's not genetic at all. No. It's all related to Apple and things. So, but everything just, for the most part, except for a couple of hiccups, and again, we'll talk about that in the next section, just kind of worked. And I mean, I got so excited that, like, right out of the bat, I was starting to think, okay, well, all I need to do is get another 4K monitor, like I'm on this one right now, and I'll have my full dual monitor setup again.
Excellent.
And I was already thinking, well, what am I going to do with my 27-inch iMac, and what am I going to do with this other Mac Mini that I have over here, this Intel Mac Mini that I bought, 2 months ago, that I probably now in retrospect shouldn't have bought. But that is kind of my 32-bit Mac Mini. So anything that I might want to run that's 32-bit, you know, resides on that. I stopped that at Mojave.
You still got the option. You've still got the option.
Yeah.
So happy Thanksgiving to all of our American friends and to you guys.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Well, we don't have Thanksgiving the same as you do, Guy. So what did you do for your Thanksgiving?
No thanks were given then.
No thanks were given for an M1. No.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're stuck in the house, like I guess pretty much everybody is right now.
Yeah. Well, we now know what next tier we're going to be in, and it's tier 3, which is not good. That's the highest tier, or the worst tier. Let's put it that way, that we can be in.
Or the worst tier that they have right now.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, it can get worse. Anyway, over to you. What did you do for your Thanksgiving?
Well, on Tuesday, I drove down to Richmond and picked up my son, where he lives, and we drove.
That's
drove
handy,
back up
really,
here.
isn't it? It's best to drive to where he lives and pick him up.
Well, he doesn't drive.
Well, no, the point I'm making is better than driving to where he doesn't live.
Yeah, well, that's true. You know, I'd go to New York and go, "Where is Guy? Guy." So picked him up, not in New York, but in Richmond.
Yeah.
And drove him back up here. And then we had Thanksgiving at my other son's house, who lives in just to the south of us as well. And it was really, really, I made a turkey breast that I slow cooked. That was really tasty. His girlfriend, Liza, made a pork roast that was, so awesome. And we both had gravy, and it was both turkey-based gravy. So we were like, meh, threw it all in together. It's like, it's turkey gravy. You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
And she made a pumpkin pie and had like a tarts that she'd created, and everything was just, I made some pumpkin loaf, which is like one of my favorite loaves to pump. And it was just really, really good. With so much good food. And then we played some of the, who makes them? The Jackbox games that you play through like your phone and TV set and stuff.
I don't know who makes them, but yeah.
Oh, have you played those? Any of those?
No, I haven't. I've heard about them, but I've not played them.
So much fun, and you can really learn a lot about your family.
Oh, right.
Playing
Jackbox,
some of these Jackbox games. It's kind of like, wow, really? I don't remember telling you what those words meant, Guy, or Peter, or Liza. But it was a lot of fun. And of course, while we were at Peter's house, we were socially distant with masks on. So
excellent.
Like every other family holiday gathering that I've ever been to.
So no change there.
No change whatsoever.
Brilliant.
How about you?
Well, Guy, I'm selling my old Mac Minis, or at least I'm trying to. Now, I don't know if you know why I might be selling my old Mac Minis. I have 2.
You've got one as a server.
I've got one as a server and one which used to be my main Mac. Right. Until the iMac came along and kind of took over that portal. So I thought, I'd like an Apple Mac Mini M1, please.
What?
Don't think Mrs. Gaz is going to be too happy if I've got a third Mac Mini in the house. And actually, if I get round to actually selling them, they might actually help in terms of getting the new Mac Mini. So currently the older Mac Mini, this is a mid 2010 Guy, a mid 2010, wow. Right? That's a 10-year-old machine, folks, over 10-year-old machine, has got 44 views on eBay. It's got 8 people watching it, and so far it's had 4 bids.
Ooh, what's it up to?
And it's up to, I'm not going to say what it's up to. I'm going to leave that there because people think I'm touting for it, which I'm not. And
it's more than you thought.
No. The point is, it's still got another 5 or 6 days to run. So I'm quite surprised. Now, the other Mac Mini, which is a much better machine, because the first one is the mid-June or mid-2010 and is, not the best of machines and can only take 8 gig of RAM. The next machine, and by the way, the other one had a super drive which accepts a CD or DVD and ejects a CD and DVD, but doesn't read them. So it's actually not working, and I've made that clear in the thing, but that's not putting people off at all.
Right. So not the superest of super drives then.
No. But I mean, it hadn't been working for a long time, but I've not used it, and if I do need it, I've got a spare USB DVD drive anyway. So it's
the Clark Kent of super drives.
Yes, sort of. Yes. Yeah, it's been kryptonited though. Now. Now the other one is a Mac Mini 2011. So that's 9 years old. It's a mid 2011. However, this one is a 2.7 gig i7, and it's got a 1 terabyte SSD that I put in there.
Oh, you updated it.
But
right.
also, not only that, I also got an adapter, and I put an extra SATA drive in there, not an SSD, a normal drive, spinning disk, which is 750 gigabytes. So it's actually got 2 drives in there, and that's got 110 views, 25 watchers, and so far it's had 3 bids, and that is much higher priced. So I might actually be getting a Mac Mini, quite comfortably if that continues at the rate it's going at the moment. So that's good.
Well, do you have any external monitors that you can use?
Not yet, no. But no, I do actually. I do have an external monitor, but it's not very good. But I'm kind of going to do. I want to get it, and I'm going to use it separately, and I'm going to try and use it headless, although it will be connected to a monitor, so it won't be actually headless. But anyway, that's by the by. And then if it works as well as I am hoping and anticipate, then actually then I will probably sell my iMac and then get a separate screen, or screens, Guy. So yeah,
because the Mac Mini, the M1 Mac Mini, has no issue with multiple screens.
Well, it might do. Anyway, well, no, it doesn't, does it? You can have multiple screens.
Yeah, you have to use the HDMI output, and then you also have to use one of the Thunderbolt 3 ports.
Yeah. Okay, so I've had a couple of conversations directly with Apple this week, Guy, about using the Pencil, which was quite good. I had about a 30-minute session with a guy who was seeing my screen.
Guy?
Yeah, with a guy. I forgot this guy's name, Guy. This guy, I didn't know his name, Guy. So anyway, right. I'm pretty sure. Guy. It was definitely Guy. Yeah, Guy.
Okay.
Anyway.
So did you want to go with Guy?
Yeah.
You remember Guy?
Yeah, I do. Anyway, it was quite useful, and I got a few tricks from him. Nothing outstanding, but it was quite good. But then we didn't have enough time on that call because I'd put down that I wanted to talk to them about iCloud as well. And he said, well, we haven't got enough time to do it now. Just go onto that link and I'll say that it's still live and you can speak to somebody else. So then I had a chat with George at Apple, and he was really helpful. Now, what I wanted to talk to him about was iCloud, and using and sharing photo albums over iCloud. And we went through a few methods, which we're going to try, and I'm going to try. And he was making sure that he could confirm yay or nay that would work on a few of these things. So I'm going to try them, and I'll come back and report here how well it's going. Because what I wanted to do, if you remember, I wanted to share my library with Mrs. Gaz.
Yes.
But I was thinking about duplicating my library and then giving her a copy of that. But then I'd have to keep them, updated with each other, and that's going to be really difficult. So I didn't particularly want to go down the shared albums because that's got a restriction on it, and I don't want to have any restrictions on it. And then we were talking about, okay, if you have a shared album, can you actually will the For You process, which happens on the phone, it comes up with photos for you, will that still work with the shared albums? And we think that will. So what I might do is multiple shared albums, but anyway, I'll come back and report on that once
good.
It's gone through. Now, I also spoke to him about, okay, so what happens if I go with Apple One, the mid tier, because I want a family share, but I don't want to go up to the bigger tier because actually I'll be paying for more and I'm not going to be using it. But then if I go to the mid tier, I'm going to have 200 gigabytes of iCloud space, which actually is, it's not going to be wasted, but I won't actually be using it. But we came up with a possible usage about sharing that as well. So when I get to that point, which may be further down the line, I'll share that information with the folks on the show as well.
Now, before you move on to the next thing, let me ask a quick question. And this is related to what you were saying. when you're talking about iCloud storage, does that include, and I can't remember the answer, does that include your pictures, or are pictures not included when, with your iCloud storage? They just say, oh, okay, you have all these pictures and now you have them stored.
So I didn't ask about that, and I think it's not a problem, because if I share it, it's only the amount that's going up there the once.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, I'm not sure. I think you will max out, I think, at a certain point. However, I've got the issue that I'm actually also sharing, storing all of my photo library up to iCloud. So that's where I'm coming from, because if I did that with Mrs. Gaz, then she'd be doing the same, which means my 2 terabyte would soon be getting very small.
Yeah.
But I think I do see the photos in iCloud because I've got so many, but that may be because I'm actually pushing my photos library up there, and I've got 40,000+ photos in there. So at one point he misheard. Well, at one point he misheard me, and he came back and he said, "Yeah, 400,000 is quite a lot." I went, "It's not quite that large. It's not quite that big, George." But thank you, George, if you're listening. And was really good, really enthused. We had a really good chat, actually. I was chatting to him about a few other things as well, but I won't embarrass him or go down that avenue. Now this week I also got a call from Carl Guy.
Ooh.
And it was really difficult for me not to.
Carl.
Yeah, well, I kept calling him Guy, actually.
Oh, did you?
Mind you, to be fair, at one point he did call me Guy, which
okay.
So.
Well, no, I would have been very insulted.
It's like we're twins. Anyway, I was on his show. We had a good chat about his MacBook Air, because Carl went out and got a MacBook Air, an M1 MacBook Air. We talked about me wanting a new Mac Mini and selling the old ones. We talked about Windows on a Mac. Does it matter anymore? And also about the Apple One packs as well. So it was really good. Really good. Really enjoyed it.
Okay, cool.
That's me. That's me. I think we could move on to I think it's called Gaz's Snippets. Wow. That was smooth, wasn't it? Smooth as butter. Now, not so many this week, and that's not because we are recording a bit earlier. It is actually, there was a lot less news that was coming across my bowels. Bowels, I said.
Bowels, right.
Bowels.
I was about to say, ooh.
Anyway, there is a rumor out there that Apple are to drop support for the iPhone 6S and original iPhone SE with iOS 15 next year. We'll wait and see on that one, shall we? Rumor mill. Don't start speculation.
Yeah.
It just annoys me.
That's going to be like, what, 5-6 years old
at
that point?
So would we be surprised?
Not really.
No.
No.
No. Universal Electronics launches Apple TV remote control for cable satellite operators. Now, that control looks very much like that Swiss control that I got in from Paul Shadwell. Thank you very much, Paul. Still haven't paid you. Yep. Slapped my wrist. He hasn't sent me the details, but I will do. And it looks very much like that controller. So it's funny how people are suddenly coming out with Apple TV controllers now. Scratch his chin. Apple provides instructions on how to fix macOS reinstallation errors on M1 Macs. I assume you've not had this problem.
Not exactly. I did have an issue that we will talk about in the next section, and it was a relatively serious issue.
Oh, right. Interesting. Oh, and before anybody asks, yes, I deleted my hard drives and have set them up so that people can actually reinstall from a fresh OS when they log into it. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Anyway, iPhone assembler Patron reportedly readies $150 million investment in India. I thought they weren't dealing with Patron anymore. Or was that someone else?
Well, it may be that they're saying, okay, well, our factories in China that had all those human rights abuses, they'll only be half as bad in India.
Yeah, because now we're going to abuse the people in India. Right. Apple
and they're not as tall. I'm
kidding.
I'm
Apple.
kidding.
Yeah,
we're kidding.
We're kidding. Apple, Pegatron, and all of India. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and China. It's only like half the world's population.
Yeah,
we're sorry.
Well, so about 2.6 billion people we've just offended.
Something like that. So sorry. We're very sorry.
When we go big.
We
Apple's Apple are accused of trying to water down an anti-forced labor bill.
I'm trying to work out that sentence. So is it a bill that's
unnamed
against...
congressional staffers have accused Apple of trying to water down an anti-forced labor bill that would place obligations on US companies to ensure their supply chain was not involved in such abuse. The bill aims to end the use of forced Uyghur labor in the Xinjiang region of China.
Yeah, western part of China.
Yeah.
This is what Apple has pretty much done all along, done their absolute very best when they don't control the companies that they're contracted to. They don't control the laws of the country that they're making this stuff in. And when they find these abuses and it's obvious, then they don't do business with those companies anymore, except for Patron in India.
Apple have been accused of trying to... Oh, sorry, I've just read that. Apple's Black Friday deal starts today. Today is Friday, folks. Well, when we're recording, you might not be listening to it. But nothing is discounted. Nothing new is discounted. All they've done...
Nothing
all they've done, they've used vouchers. However, we have spotted that the HomePod in the UK gets an £80 voucher if you buy one, which is not too bad.
You're talking about the full-size one?
Yes, not the mini.
Okay, I was going to say that'd be like $19 for a HomePod Mini? I'll take 12. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you is what we should say. Q. Okay, so Apple's global security boss has been accused of bribing cops with 200 free iPads in exchange for concealed gun permits. More on that in a while. Apple makes another concession on App Store fees. Now, I kind of...
This is big.
Oh, good. Yes, I skirted it. So go on, tell me, because it says Apple on Monday. Apple said that on Monday. Let me reread that. Apple said on Monday that companies that offer digital classes or virtual events through iPhone apps won't have to use Apple's App Store in-app purchases through to June 2021.
Okay. Well, the other thing they did, any company that makes applications for iOS, or I imagine for pretty much any of them, with sales under $1 million, their fees are going to change from 30% to 15%.
We mentioned that last week. We talked about that last week.
I know.
Well, this is an extra one, but you forgot.
Oh, okay.
This is... Get with it, guy. Right? You're so excited about that M1, aren't you? So this is an extra one. This is another concession on the App Store. So I wonder whether they're going to come out with a few more. Let me jump in with ways for iOS.
Well, the other thing they're going to come out with is every single company in the world is going to have App Store fees at 5% except for Epic. Okay.
Ways for iOS testing support for CarPlay's dashboard mode is in beta. So that'll be good if Waze comes onto CarPlay, actually.
It is on CarPlay.
Well, so
what dashboard mode is it kind of splits the screen so that you, besides seeing your instructions,
that's right.
You also control media and things along those lines.
You're right, because you can get it on the old dashboard, can't you? On the non-split one. Yes, you're right. You're right. Because I've gone to the new one now and it's great. I love it.
Hold on. Did you just say I was right about something?
I made a mistake. Apple's global... Oh, I've said that. Apple makes another concession. Oh, I've said that as well. Where am I? I've completely lost my space. Okay. Apple Maps transit directions go live in Vienna, Austria. HomePod Mini shipping times slip into January across Europe as the global stocks dwindle. It looks like
mine yet.
The Mini is taking off, guy. Hugely.
Well,
humongous.
When they first came out with it, and we were talking about, because I don't think when they first announced it, or when it was first being rumored, that there had been any prices that were, associated with it. And I think both you and I were saying, if they get this thing under $100, that's going to be like tremendous. Yeah. And then when they actually came out and said, oh yeah, $99, it was like,
bazinga.
Yeah. And they've been bazinged.
Apple has reminded developers to submit the privacy info for the nutritional, not neutrino label for apps feature.
I just saw that and it made me laugh.
Apple has become a divided powerhouse. What have I put that in for?
Dividend.
Oh, oh.
See, we went from neutrino to divided.
Yes, I
because that's what neutrinos do. They divide.
They do. That's very true. Subliminally, that's what was in my head. Okay, so Apple has become a dividend powerhouse. Basically, I don't think that Steve Jobs ever wanted that. He said he didn't want to pay dividends, but actually it's becoming a reliant company. And that means that a lot of pension companies will be piling money into Apple, I would say. Economics
and the Apple stock then goes up. So all of the people that have, millions and millions of shares of Apple stock are going, well, maybe not exactly like that.
No, not with that laugh. Economics of streaming are threatening the future of music, says Elbow's Guy Garvey. So, yeah, Apple, you're killing the future of music.
Yeah, when was the last time I heard that? iTunes, sorry.
Every time something happens in the music industry, which means that you don't have to buy something physical.
Over and over again, yeah.
Apple security.
How dare he have my name? How dare you, Mr. Garvey?
Yeah, I bet.
You're giving Guy a bad name, and frankly, that's my job.
And I bet for every time he says anything,
Guy was paid his $75,000.
Yeah, I bet he is.
He was. He totally was. Not me, but him.
No, Guy. Mr. Garvey. Apple's security chief maintains innocence after the bribery charges. More later. Users complain about Bluetooth connectivity issues with the M1 Mac Mini. Now, have you come across any issues, or shall we speak about that later just in case you have?
Well, because I'll forget if we don't speak about it right now. Every once in a while, my Bluetooth mouse, not mouth, because that would be weird. My Bluetooth mouse will just and not move. And usually if I click on something on the keyboard or do something, it'll start to work again. But here's the mouse right here. This is the mouse. It's a cheap HP Bluetooth mouse. So it could also be that it's just.
Yeah, but if you remember, Guy, I used to complain a little bit, or still do. It still happens where I get a little bit of lag on my Bluetooth mouse, and it's a Magic Mouse. So I wonder if it's the implementation of the Bluetooth protocols from Apple. Don't know. Now, is Apple Silicon ready? I came across this site and I thought, oh, this will be really good. I'll pop this in, and basically this guy has put in a link to lots of applications to tell you whether Apple Silicon M1 is ready for those apps. Interestingly, though, Guy, that site is no longer available. I have tried through several processes to get to that site, and it's no longer there. I wonder whether something's been taken down.
Or it
was a dodgy site.
Maybe it's not Apple Intel ready. So it'll work on my M1.
Yes.
But it won't work on the browser with your Apple Intel device.
Yeah. Probably.
No.
Apparently Apple apparently had a widespread iCloud music sync issue, but they've solved it. Well, that's good then, isn't it? I mean, this is the problem. This is the problem of having everything in the cloud, folks. Not always good. Apple said developers are saying that the App Store small business program is good for business. Well, Apple wouldn't
business
they?
Right in the name.
Yeah. Yeah, so apparently they're just reaffirming that the App Store small business program is good for business.
For business.
And Apple said it.
Yeah. Nobody else, but Apple said it.
Well, Apple said that they said that I said that my aunt said about her brother's friend the other day that it was good for business.
Yeah, but only at 15%.
Only at 15%. Former Apple retail chief Angela Arendts is a new chair of the board for the Save the Children International.
This is one of those stories that I just have to bite my tongue, because if you say anything bad, it's kind of like, he doesn't want to save the children. It's like, no. Yes, you don't understand. It's all for comedy.
That was put in there to trip you up, and you saw the trap. Apple's global right now. This is the last one I've got on this, I think. Okay. Apple's global security chief indicted in scheme to trade iPads for gun permits, but Apple says it's found no wrongdoing, Guy.
And right outside the Apple store, or the Apple big round place, there's a guy there going, shh, there's no story here. Go away.
Now, are you ready? Are you ready for the next story? Mr. Ming Chi Kuo.
Ming Chi Kuo. Oh.
Says that there will be a new form factor redesigns for Apple Watch and MacBooks in late 2021. So we had this on Carl's show, and I said, yeah, duh. Of course, there's going to be new MacBooks next year, and iMacs and all the rest of it, because the success of the M1 so far, people are going to be scratching at the door to get new ones. But what he's saying is there might be redesigns. So we shall wait. We shall wait and see it.
This is the same guy that said that the iPhone 13 may have better cameras and will come out in the fall. And everyone just went, whoa.
He's incredibly intelligent.
How does he do it, guys?
I personally don't know how he does it. Amazon and Apple are not playing their part in tackling electronic waste. Now, I'm going to come back to this in a little while, if I may.
Okay.
Apple has asked Foxconn to move some MacBook and iPad production from China to Vietnam.
That's a good thing.
How to tell which apps are optimized for M1 Silicon Macs. Now, this is a different story from a different source, giving information about the apps, although actually what it's doing is telling you how to do it within the Mac itself. So I'm going to push this down to the link section so people can
this is a good story. I'm looking at it right here.
Yeah. So this is, if you've got,
I'm going to save that for later.
Yeah, so we'll put that in the link. So this is probably a much better way than the other one, to be perfectly honest with you, which you can't do anyway because the site's gone down. And that's the end of Gazzy's snippets. Now I've got Gazzy's links.
We need something new for your links, Gaz.
Please. UK Environmental Committee says that Apple are contributing to throwaway culture of short-lived products. We had quite a long chat about this on Carl's show yesterday. All I'm going to say is humbug, bar humbug. You haven't got a clue, UK Environmental Committee. You have not got it. You cannot point the finger at Apple alone. In fact, it's hard to point.
You can't really point the app at Apple at all.
Will you let me finish? Will you let me finish? What he said. You can't really point your finger at Apple at all because they do more. I mean, start of this show, we were talking about me not binning but selling a 10-year-old Mac.
And people still wanted it.
I'm getting loads of money for it, so UK Environmental Committee, if you're going to talk about the electronics and some other companies we could mention, Amazon, Samsung, then I agree with you, because those phones are cheap and everyone else are cheap, they're crap, and they get thrown away. You cannot point the finger at Apple in the same way.
Yep.
Yes, you know,
phones are still being used on the current operating system 4 to 5 years later.
Plus, guess what? It's called capitalism.
Yeah. So you can all just kiss my ass. That's what I say to the UK Environmental Committee.
Yeah. Now,
kiss my ass.
Now, I did see another link which says the UK urges tech companies to tackle excessive e-waste in damning report. Now, that's probably a little bit better. And if that's where it was coming from, that's fine. And the other one might have been clickbait.
See, I like that second company that was saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it was the same company, wasn't it?
Well, I don't think it's committee. You say company, I say committee.
I say committee.
And that's the end of Gaz's snippets.
Yeah, they're divided.
No,
they're like divided neutrinos.
Yeah, which are divided, dividended, nutritional, neutrino divided, dividend.
Okay, well, on that note, I think we're gonna stand by, and when we come back, because I know, this may come as a shock. We're going to talk about the new M1 Mac Mini.
Why, have you got one?
I do. We'll be right back.
Cool. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Point 2 of the Mighty MyMac podcast. And Guy interrupted me, and normally it's me interrupting him, and I actually hesitated and stumbled on my worms. I said worms. Yes, I meant worms, but I said worms. Guy, now, apparently you're going to tell us all about some silly old Mac Mini. Is that true?
It is true. It is true. I did pick up, as I've said on numerous occasions now, across the interwebs, that I have a new M1 Mac Mini Ini. 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD. So I paid for some of the upgrades because my original take on this, Gaz, was that if it's as good as what everyone was saying, because I was looking at all the reviews, that this was going to replace my I just got this iMac in 2017, so it's not old.
No.
And it's a quad core, it's a 4.2 or 4.3 gigahertz quad core 27-inch iMac with an 8 gigabyte video card and a 3 terabyte Fusion drive.
Yeah, that's the only downside to it, isn't it?
Yeah, that is it really is a downside. But other than that, I mean, it's been a wonderful computer. But I've got to say,
mine is the 5K 27-inch late 2015 4 gig quad core i7, and it's got 4 gigabyte on the RAM on the card, but it's got a 3 terabyte Fusion drive.
So
anyway, go on then, carry on. We're talking about Mac Minis.
We're talking about Mac Minis, and except for a couple of little things, this Mac Mini has far exceeded my expectations of how it was going to perform and what it was going to do and what I was going to be able to do with it. Basically, since I finished getting it set up, I haven't used the iMac. It's been all Mac Mini. And with this, I was talking about the Dell monitor that I got. Was it last week? Did I talk about this monitor last week?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was in my pick. This is a beautiful monitor, and if I make this my exclusive machine, which I'm going to, then I'll need to get a second one. So I'll still have my 2 monitors set up, because I got to tell you, with just one monitor, I'm a little cramped based on everything that I've got going on. But I did have an issue that I didn't realize was going to be an issue until it became an issue. So,
okay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely nothing cryptic about that at all.
No, let's warn others about the issue which you didn't know was going to be an issue until it was an issue, so that they don't have an issue which becomes an issue because they didn't know it was going to be an issue to you?
Visually speaking, yes.
Yes.
Well, I set everything up with the computer. Everything seemed to be working great. And then Wednesday, which is when I do the Mac to the Future live cast over there on the Facebooks, on the YouTubes, and you can catch that over on the Facebooks at the Mac to the Future live cast. Go! But anyway, it's not going to dwell into that. I was trying to get to the Pages document where we do the show notes for that show, much like we do with the MyMac podcast. We use Pages through iCloud so that we can share it. Couldn't get to it. Ooh. And I looked, couldn't get to any documents in iCloud. And it didn't matter what I did, I could not get to them. And the other weird thing that I was seeing before that was I would go into Dropbox and I would click on a document, or I would click on a movie file or an audio file, and then I would use, the space bar. Well, let me hear what that sounds like. You hit space bar, and it's one of the fantastic things about the Macintosh OS, that you can preview a file without having to open the application. But it wasn't working in Dropbox, and I couldn't even see documents in iCloud.
Okay.
And I'm trying all these different things, and I had other people talking to me and trying to work me through these things. And finally, I remembered something that I had known for a really, really long time, but it's one of those things that when something weird like this happens, you don't always remember it. And it's really what I should have done at the very first point that this was kind of an issue, which is you go, if your login account is the administrative account, much like you probably do that as well. You have an admin account. Well, everybody has an admin account. You go into system preferences, into accounts, you create a new admin account, and then you log into that to see if the problem is duplicated. Well, I went in, I made a new admin account, and the problem was not duplicated, which means the user account that I set the machine up with was corrupted in some way. And there's probably some way to fix it, but I was like, whoa, just get rid of it. Go to a new user account.
So, quick question. When you first set it up, because I've got on every Mac that I do, I set up an admin account, which is the first account I do, but I never use that admin account as my account. I then set up another account, which I use as my account, and whether I make that as administrative or not is, I tend to not make that an administrative account. But obviously I know what the administrator password and name is, which I can then use if I need to use it within that account. But nobody's got administrative rights if they ever cracked into that account. But I never
which is a good practice, by the way.
But I never set my account, that account that I'm talking about, up first. I always set up
on what? What do you do this on?
On any Mac that I get. On any Mac that I get.
Your Mac.
My Mac.
Yes. Sorry.
Well done.
I don't do that. And what you were just talking about is actually a very good practice, to not use your main admin account as what you log into and use the computer for. It's actually a very good practice after you set up your admin account and that you've made sure you have saved the password to that admin account someplace safe. You then set up a user account and you use the user account instead. I know this. I haven't done it, but I know it. So, and actually thinking back, I probably could have, instead of making another admin account, I probably could have made just a user account and tried it that way.
Yeah.
However, because the original admin account was corrupted, I would have had to have made another admin account anyway.
Yeah.
And so I deleted the original admin account. Everything was working on the new admin account. The only thing that I had to do after that, I had to set up all of the applications again.
Yeah.
Because all of your privileges, when you first set up your computer, all of your privileges are set up in the account in which you originally used the computer. So if you make a new account, none of those permissions are there anymore. So I had to set all that up all over again. And in the meantime, all of the apps that like use those files are all like, wait a second. Why are you trying to use this application on more than one computer? And it's like, no, it's the same computer.
Cool. Well,
so all of those questions had to be answered. Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad you sorted that out. So what's with all of these 1 to 18 lists that you've got here?
Well, I figured after we got done talking about how I was a corrupted user, I had a corrupted user account, that I would talk about the applications that I'd been using on this computer, not necessarily which ones were M1 native and which ones were using Rosetta 2, but just whether they worked or not and how well they worked.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really had me concerned when I went to the M1 was that as a user of a certain company's applications that I use for all of my audio production, they had it set up so it would work with Big Sur, but up until I got this Mac Mini, it wasn't working yet with the M1. And then lo and behold, the day before I got the M1, this company came out with betas. And I have to say, really, really solid and tight betas. I haven't had any problems with it. I'm using it right now. I'm soaking in it. That's Rogue Amoeba. And
huzzah. Well done then.
So thank you, Paul Kafarsis. Kafasis. I say that.
Kafasis.
It's Kafasis because I said it. I was on Twitter and I was like, thanks to Paul Kafarsis. And then I get this little message from the Rogue Amoeba Twitter account going, that's Kafasis. It was like, I knew that. I was testing you. Even though it was Paul, of course, that was sending it. So Audio Hijack, Loopback, Farrago, and SoundSource, which is, do you use SoundSource? Have you heard about this application?
Yeah, I know about SoundSource, but I don't use it. No.
Okay.
It's not, is it free or not? Is SoundSource free?
No, it's not free.
I've actually got it actually. Yes, I've actually got.
You probably
SoundSource.
Have like version 3 because they're up to version 5, but it still works.
Yeah, I can't tell you. About SoundSource. Let me tell you, it is version 3. Yeah.
Yep. I had the same one, and when I got the message saying, "Okay, well, we have SoundSource 5 now, and you can't use your license for it," it was like, "Damn it!" So I went ahead and bought it because and this isn't supposed to be the Rogue Amoeba show or anything like that, but the cool thing about SoundSource is you can go into this application, and once you started it, lives in your menu bar, and control your audio's volumes. And that sounds like, so what? You can control them on an individual basis. And you can redirect them to other applications right from SoundSource, which is super cool.
Yeah.
The problem that Rogue Amoeba had with all of these applications is that it used what they call ACE, which is Audio Capture Engine. And that wasn't ready to go with Big Sur, and it certainly wasn't ready to go with the M1. And right at the last minute, I'm sure they were working feverishly on it. They got it working, and I've got to say, so far it's really, really super tight, and I'm not having any issues with it. As a matter of fact, the problem I used to have, and I'm sure you remember this, Gaz, before we would start almost any podcast, I would have to go into Audio MIDI setup.
Yep.
And reset the volume on some of the audio interface and things like. It was such a pain in the neck. That's not happening with the M1 Mac Mini so far. So far.
Far.
Now, One of the other apps that I use in relation, I'm using it right now, is Hindenburg, which is a digital audio, what is the W? Workstation? Workstation, I guess is what it means. I'm using it right now and it hasn't exploded.
Good, very good, very good.
Yeah.
Or
Skype,
crashed.
Or crashed. Yeah. And it's nowhere near New Jersey. Skype and Zoom. New Jersey, Lakenhoist. Skype and Zoom are both working without
that's good.
most issues. Yeah, because that's what we're using right now.
How's the battery life when you're using Zoom on your Mac Mini?
So far, it stays right around 100%.
That's cool.
Yeah. Amazing battery life on the Mac Mini, by the way.
Amazing.
Amazing. Almost like it's plugged in. The one of the gotchas that isn't working, and it's why if you watch the video version of the MyMac podcast, you're going to notice a very severe drop in video quality. Because Ecamm call recorder is not working. Now, this also may not be their fault, and I'll explain why in a second. This may be a Skype issue. I'm not sure yet. Now, on the other side of that, Ecamm Live, including interview mode, is working. But because I don't pay for the Ecamm subscription, which is what you need for interview mode.
Yeah.
I can try it, and I did try it earlier with my brother Larry, who lives down in Florida, and it did work, and it worked very well. But it wasn't going to be worth, I think it's like $10 a month. Carl could tell you how much because he uses it for the Mac and Forth show. And I don't know, maybe at some point I'll go into that, but we've been using through Skype this thing called NDI, which I'm not going to get all the way into that. However, which stands for Network Devices Interface, so I guess I am getting into it. That so far doesn't seem to be working, and I haven't been able to add it to anything useful. So I haven't been able to add it to OBS, which is working, other than NDI integration. Haven't been able to add it to Skype. Now, they still have the checkbox for it. If you go into advanced settings in Skype under audio and video, in the advanced settings, you'll see something about NDI, turn it on or whatever. You can go ahead and turn it on. Probably not going to work, but you could turn it on. So NDI isn't working. DaVinci Resolve 17, which is a video editor along the lines of like Final Cut or Final Cut Pro and things along those lines, is working, and 17 is the beta. And so it's working in emulation. That's one of the programs I know is working through Rosetta, but it's working really, really well. I've used that a couple times now. Now, absolutely zero shocks here, Gaz. All of the iWork apps like Numbers, Keynote, and Pages are all working.
Wow.
Wow. Incredible. How did they do it? But on that note, all of the standard Mac apps, so that includes like, Mail and, Preview and all, those are all working fine, as well as GarageBand. There's actually a special new version of GarageBand if you're in Big Sur or on an M1 based machine, which of course are all working in Big Sur anyway.
I've got an update for GarageBand, and I can't update it because I need
it nags at you.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just it's a free app, so why didn't Apple just call it GarageBand 2, or something like that, so that if you still had the original non-Big Sur Intel version of GarageBand, you wouldn't see that little oh, you have an update.
Yeah, well, I don't. I mean, they shouldn't put it as an update because I can't update it. So
right.
Bit odd, that is. A little bit odd, but there you go.
And annoying.
And annoying. Well,
it is.
If you've got CDO, then yes, it is.
And everyone knows I have CDO.
Yeah.
Both Safari and the Chrome browser don't seem to have any issues. Again, not a big surprise. Microsoft Office through the 365 subscription is also working very well.
Cool.
And if you use like online storage solutions like OneDrive and Dropbox, those are also working.
Excellent.
Now, there's a lot of people who use either like Adobe, Photoshop, and none of the CC apps so far have been updated to Big Sur and the M1 processor, though I'm sure Adobe is frantically working on it. But there was a program that a lot of people who don't want to spend all the money on Photoshop have been using called Pixelmator.
Yep.
Now, this program is not going to be updated for Big Sur, and it's not going to be updated to the M1.
Right.
After 10 years. So if you bought Pixelmator 10 years ago, you haven't spent any money on it since. There is a new version of coming out called Pixelmator Pro, and the upgrade for it is $35.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
go
after 10 years,
go update it.
So basically it's a subscription service that costs you $3.50 a year.
That's a coffee. I only have one coffee a year, guy.
Yeah. So, it's one coffee. Right. Why do people compare things like subscription services to coffees?
Yeah. It's like having a coffee a day. Well, that's fine. That guy, and I get the kick out of that, but I don't get a kick out of a subscription service which I'm paying.
Every day.
Winds me up. Yeah, it winds me up as well. Anyway.
All right. So also on that same kind of note, Swift Publisher 5, which is what I use to create the Wooties and some of the other things related to the show, that's working. Now here's a kind of a bummer. Carbon Copy Cloner and Super Duper are not yet compatible with M1 Macs, but Carbon Copy Cloner does still work for Intel-based Big Sur Macs. So if you've updated to Big Sur, you can still use Carbon Copy Cloner as long as you're on an Intel machine.
Right.
Now, I did have kind of a weird issue with the TV app. Now, this season of Star Trek Discovery has been less cringy for me than previous seasons of Star Trek Discovery. I'm a big Star Trek fan. Sorry. Actually, I'm not going to apologize for it.
Don't apologize.
I love Star Trek. I'm just not a big fan of Star Trek Discovery. The first 2 seasons of which have not been that good. However, this season, where they're out of the whole let's destroy what everyone knows about Star Trek in the current timeline, they've jumped so far ahead of the future that it no longer matters. And up until the last episode, you know what? I'm not going to go into that.
No.
However,
no, please don't.
Okay. I have been watching video on or through the TV app on MyMac. And
well done.
Yeah. And on my 2018 MacBook Air, which is on Big Sur, I was having crashing issues where I watched like 35 minutes of the program that I swear to God, I can't remember the name of it now off the top of my head. But about 35 minutes in, it suddenly crashed. And I mean, crashed hard. It actually came up with a crash report for the TV app and said, we're going to send this to Apple because this is really messed up. Or, in so many words. But the same thing did not happen for the M1 Mac. For the M1 Mac Mini, didn't have any of those problems. And that's as far as the stuff that I do. That's kind of a report on everything.
That's quite a lot, actually. You've really hammered it, haven't you, to test it out? So that's pretty comprehensive. I'm quite impressed, actually, Guy. But you're still thinking, ooh, M1. Ooh.
Yeah. All things considered.
Right.
And again, I've been a Mac user for a very, very long time. There, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What was your name again?
Whippersnapper.
I want pudding. Since 1987, and when they did the transition from the original Mac processor, which was the Motorola 68K, to PowerPC, there were problems, even with the emulation software that you could run System 9 Mac apps with. But I think that was more along the lines of System 9 for the Mac was just so bad. And the applications that would run on it were just so bad that it didn't matter. Now, the jump from the 68K to the PowerPC wasn't a problem. System 9 to OS 10 was a problem because of problems with OS 9. The jump from PowerPC to Intel, other than the first Intel Macs were just not that good. The Core Solo Macs, not that good.
No.
But generally speaking, most of the applications that people were running on PowerPC Macs ran pretty well for the most part.
Well, Rosetta, I think, is
Intel Macs
running a lot of them on the M1, aren't they? So
yes.
The Rosetta processor.
Yes,
so that's pretty good.
But I couldn't tell you, of all of those applications I just talked about, for the most part, I couldn't tell you which ones were running through emulation and which ones are running natively in the M1. And that speaks volumes about this computer.
Excellent. Brilliant.
So
well, I'm looking forward to selling my 2 Mac Minis, because it looks like I'm going to be having one on order pretty soon. Good.
Yeah,
I think, Guy, that you just did a very comprehensive review, and I'm nodding my head.
Thank you.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip. This is a real quick one, folks, and I quite like this one because it does clean your screen a little bit, and I'll tell you what I mean. Now, Guy, you could possibly play along if you want to.
Yeah.
If you hover your mouse over the green icon, the red, amber, and green little icons to close your programs on the top of each of your applications that you've got open. If you hover your mouse over the green one, you get 3 or 4 options. You get enter the full screen, tile the window to the left of the screen, or tile the window that you're hovering over to the right of the screen. You also get one to move it to a local iPad, I think, if it's available, so that you can shift that screen to an iPad. Because
what's that called?
Oh, I was just trying to think. That's called, I know, whatever it is.
Okay.
Anyway,
it works.
Yeah. And it works like that. And now, if you do one of those top 3 items, like tiling to the right of the screen, what it then does is it pulls every other application that you've got open as well, but it puts the application that you said full screen on the right hand side, or full screen if you've asked for it, and it clears out the menu, but it still gives you that little tile option in the middle so you can adjust it slightly. Now you've suddenly got into a position where you think, oh my word, what's happening? Just press the escape key and it brings you back to your original configuration. So remember the escape key if you don't like what you see. That almost rhymes, but I'm not a poet. Are you nodding your head?
I am. You are not a poet.
That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz's tips.
Brilliant.
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, for Farrago, I forgot to mention this. I had exported all of my Farrago sets to Dropbox a long time ago. And so as I was setting up for today's show, I imported them back in.
Right.
But it's the old setup. I haven't done one. So what I actually need to do, I need to go back into my Intel iMac, export my current Farrago set lists, and then re-import them here into the Mac Mini. Because just then, because I do the end of Gaz's tips, then I do Quick Getaway, then I do Bronk, which is one of my favorite sounds always, which is this one. I love that sound.
Yeah.
And then I finish with
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
exactly. But because this is the old setup, as soon as I hit Bronk, it was like, oh God, where is it? There it is.
Where is it? Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And in my head, this is what I heard.
You have failed me for the last time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Anyway, I think if we move on, the Twitter stuff we've got here, we mentioned last week, so that probably needs cleaning.
Oh, did we?
I think so, but I think so. Yes. Just
because it was still in the notes when I was going through it. So okay,
yeah,
but it was
so
from Saranac. And thank you, Saranac.
Yes. I think we mentioned it last week. So we'll move on to the next piece, which is probably you.
Yes, thank you all. And if you would like to help support the things that I do, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/MacParrot, or coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. And if you would like to pay a pal, all you have to do is go to paypal.me/MacParrot to help support things like buying M1 Macs and microphones and
you wish.
I really do. I really. It's like please give me enough money so that I can buy more microphones.
I just want them to give me enough money.
Enough over here.
I just want them to give me enough money so I can retire.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
I mean, hell with all the rest of that stuff. So, but that's those are all the three different ways that you can help support me and my crazy podcasting habits. Gaz, if people wanted to get a hold of not me, but you,
ever so easy.
Would they do
ever so easy, guy. All I have to do is send an email to gaz@mymac.com. That's gaz@mymac.com. That's mymac.com. Or on the Twitters, twitter.com/gazmaz, GAZMAZ. You can also contact Guy and myself on the Twitters, twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, GUIAND GAZ. You can also send an email. That's an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's FWDBACK. Okay, so
his name was Guy. No fooling.
Guy says what?
Does.
What does Guy say?
Guy was paid at 75 grand.
Well,
we know it was a guy.
That was the other
I'd
guy.
like to go with Guy.
I'd like to go with Guy. Yeah.
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
No, don't.
They don't.
He's the guy.
That's why.
Guy?
Yes.
You remember Guy?
Yeah, because
Guy's the one.
now would you like
An email from Guy.
We should just do a podcast where that's all we do.
That's all we do, yeah.
Hey, everyone, here's how you can get a hold of us. And then we just stop right there.
Anyway, tell the people how they can contact you.
Oh, my goodness. Well, after all of that, you can contact me through an email, which would be guy@mymac.com, GUI@mymac.com. I am on the Twitters with not one, but two accounts, Macparrot. Thank you. And VertShark. Stop. We have a Skype number, which is hello.
Someone's ringing the Skype number.
I know. Hello, which so few people know how to use. There's like 3 or 4 people in the entire world that apparently know how to use a Skype number. But in case you're one of those people, just in case,
and you've forgotten the
you
number,
would dial. We're going to tell you right now what that number is. Write it down. Don't count on your memory because nobody has memory for telephone numbers.
Just tell them the number.
Okay, it's 1 or +1 outside the United States. 703-436-9501. That number again is 1 or +1 703-436-9501. Or kill the 1 and +1. Do it in the Skype app. 703-436-9501. That's all you got to do. And Gaz, I would like to say, after 1 hour and 13 minutes and 6 seconds, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And everyone else for downloading and listening to the M1 based MyMac.com podcast. We really, really do appreciate the fact that you have taken the time out of your life to do so. And Gaz, I think that we're good enough.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and this week alone, and we're not talking about any other week. Next week, we may be back to the same old tomfoolery. This week, we've been smart enough, and that doggone it, Gaz, woof, 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 woof.
Woof, woof, woof.
Woof, woof, woof. People woof us.
Mema Nava Macintosh Paringanganaka Ita
Nice.
Visitija Vana Atara Esse Novana de Hera Siayala Kriamaka Ve. I've got no idea. I'll tell
It's
you what,
underneath.
Guy.
It's right there.
Guy, did you know that the first picture of a black hole has been released? It
No.
sucks. End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.